So, you want to be a filmmaker? Well, much of the internet says a filmmaker should be like this. But could it be this? Well, maybe it's turning into this. Now, more than ever, a multitude of ways to find what it is to be a filmmaker. So, if you really want to be one, you have to ask yourself, which kind do you want to be? Welcome to Ravenswood, a neighborhood of Chicago that I've now called my work home for the past 6 years. I got started in the whole filmmaking thing by making stupid videos as a kid. In high school classes, throughout college, every chance I could turn a school project into a film and present it in front of the class, I made it happen, and I reveled in their responses. Now, if you're watching this, I assume you're interested in filmmaking, making it your career. You've probably already made some stuff, like whether it be with your phone or a mirrorless camera or something else. But I just want to go through a few steps of what it looks like to take the next steps into professionalism. Keep making stuff now and as you go. I promise you, whatever gear you have, even if it's a phone, right now is enough to make something and connect with a potential audience. Your goal in the early days is to connect with people. So with whatever filmmaking gear and tools you have, do that. Connect with people and connect with an audience. Your goal here is to just have one person hire you for a paid gig and then potentially refer you to more people. So that is the goal, is to connect with and find those people. And that doesn't happen unless you're making stuff. Now, as stupid as they were, those stupid videos when I first started were the things that got me in front of my first paying clients, which happened to be a wedding. A friend from my high school, her older sister was getting married, and she asked me if I was available because she saw all the stupid videos I was making with my quote-unquote nice camera. With my quote-unquote, how do quotes work? With my quote-unquote nice camera. $300, and I was lined up for my first wedding. Brought a friend along with more experience. And honestly, I think we crushed it, even though I shot in 30 frames per second, which I'm about to get to. Yikes. Now, sharing that film on Facebook landed me my next paid wedding, which was $800. I didn't know what exposure was. I mean, like literal camera exposure. I thought light and airy was a vibe, but I was just blowing highlights, which I'm also about to get to. Now, if you're fortunate enough to land those gigs early on, blast that stuff all over social and find 20 different ways to cut that thing into a million pieces and put it all over every platform you have. Free marketing. If you aren't interested in getting into weddings, start making spec ads, fake commercials. Grab a friend or two and just pick a brand, something that you like, and make a commercial about it. I did this in 2020 with my friend, Mike. We shot it in my kitchen, an instant coffee company. We made the whole thing and we actually sold it to them for a couple $1,000s. They loved it so much, they bought it. Never would have happened if we just didn't try making it. In the midst of trying, continue to sharpen your technical skills. Fact, you will never stop sharpening your technical skills. Practicing and refining technical skills throughout your filmmaking career will always lead to growth and advancement in your art. A standard cinematic practice is shooting 24 frames per second. Some cameras say 23.976. That's 24 frames. Do that at first. Just shoot in 24 frames per second until you have a full understanding of what the other frame rates are and what the 180-degree rule is. You can find this anywhere on the internet, here on YouTube. Google search 180-degree rule. The short of it is whatever frame rate you're in. So if you're in 24, you want to double that number and put it in the denominator of your shutter. So in an ideal world, if you're shooting 24 frames per second, you want your shutter to be 1/48 of a second. A lot of standard cameras don't have 1/48 as an option, so you want to bump it to 1/50. That's your closest to double of 24. Now, if you dabble in other frame rates like 60 frames per second, your shutter should be 1/120 or 1/125 if your camera has that. If you're shooting at 120 frames per second like Papa McKinnon, then you need to do the shutter of 1/240 or 1/250 if that's what your camera has. shadows. You get the idea. Pay attention to your highlights. Highlights are the bright part of an image. So like me in this shot, in the light, like my shirt, the white part of the bright part of the image. The white part of the bright part, bars. Sure, can you go wide real quick just for this example? Okay, like I said, highlights are my shirt, the bright part of the image, white, bright, and then you have midtones, which are the exposed sections, more like over here to the right, and then the shadows on the other side of the dresser. You have those 3 different sections of the exposure of the image. Your goal is to want to be able to see all those things. Now, expensive cameras can do that really, really well, like the C70 I'm shooting on right now, but cheap cameras have a really hard time processing that dynamic range, and a lot of times people will overexpose these highlights. You want to show them overexposed real quick? Like this. It's bad. Looks unprofessional. You start to get clipping on the white. You want to save those highlights and make sure that those aren't blown out. It's okay if the shadows are pretty dark. That's going to look a lot better than the highlights being clipped and going completely white. So don't do that. Okay, let's zoom back in. Hello. Other things you can do to mitigate this and work against blowing out highlights is you can move subjects. You could add light to fill in shadow or expose a subject closer to the highlights of an image so they're not fully blown out. That's obviously not always possible if you have to shoot from a certain angle, so just don't play the highlights in that case. In the same way, pay attention to your audio, whether you're on a shotgun mic or you're boomed or you have a corded mic. Don't allow your audio to peak. Let's show them what peaked audio sounds like. Crank it. I'm talking and then we peak the audio and it's really loud! Even though the limiter's on, it's probably gonna sound pretty bad. Don't do that. It's awful. I'm sure you've watched videos where you have to listen to that. It's unbearable. Audio can be one of the most complicated components of filmmaking. It's just really hard to navigate sometimes because it's kind of hidden. So bring headphones to the shoot or wear headphones throughout the day and connect it to your camera if you need to. Audio and the fact that the pictures are moving is what separates filmmaking from photography. It's also the reason why people can feel so emotionally connected to a piece of art in filmmaking because you're appealing to those 2 senses with moving visuals and audio as opposed to just staring at one single image. Now, because of this, I care deeply about music that I choose in my filmmaking. While it isn't everybody else's goal, I always want to connect with people on an emotional level with every single film I make, and music gives me the ability to do that. Sure, the visuals, the audio, even the music could be incredibly impressive in a film, but if there's no takeaway, no depth, no heart behind the work, I'm usually not thrilled with the outcome. This is why the technical parts of what I just taught are so important, because you don't want the visual or audio aspects to distract from the story you're trying to tell, the emotion you're trying to convey, the message you're trying to get across. Likewise, you don't want the viewer to be put off by the music that's in your scene distracting in any way. Now, when it comes to music licensing, I've always used MusicBed. I realized the first wedding films I ever made, I needed to license my music so I didn't get sued. So I found MusicBed and I've been with them for about a decade now. And growing up a musician, constantly involving myself in the music world, I had a high standard of what music I wanted to use in my films. Now, I love MusicBed for its quality and the depth of its library, but honestly, I love it because it's not cheesy. Like, the design is great, the search engine is incredible. I can always find something that I need that fits the emotion of whatever I'm trying to convey. And I've been trying to convey some really difficult emotions recently between My Father's Son, a short film I did recently about a father connecting back with his son after ignoring him for months, and then Can't Sleep, where this character's wife passed away, you found out, and it's just that pain and kind of that agony. So I've been exploring those different emotions, and I haven't had difficulty finding songs that complement that. I also have a featured playlist of some of my favorite songs in their catalog, which you can find in the second link in the description. I can go on forever about music and its integration into the filmmaking process, but if you're interested in checking out MusicBed for the first time, you can sign up for a free account. Just check out the first link in the description. You can also use the code all caps EricFloberg23 to get 1 free month at checkout with any paid subscription. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video, MusicBed. Community. It's an annoying word. You hear it all the time. Doesn't make it any less important. And you don't have to build out 2 studios and work with your closest friends to find success in the industry, but I am imploring you to make connections within the industry, no matter how small they are. Seek out Facebook groups, online courses, YouTube channels with communities, opportunities for in-person events. Nothing beats the growth hack like meeting people in the industry and becoming friends with them, and those friends referring you tons of work. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look. shoot your shot in DMs. And don't just say like, I would love to pick your brain. Like, shoot your shot in an interesting, creative way. Make a video, voice memo, anything that's different than what everybody else DMs people. And in that, never expect anything in return. The bitterness that can grow from a lack of response in those DMs or those interactions can really eat away at you. So expect nothing and then just be delighted when anything does happen. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, it was one of the best investments I ever made in my career. Meeting people. As I already touched on, make spec work with your friends. Other fresh industry folks are always down to collaborate and do stuff for free because y'all are just on the grind, trying to get after it, build a portfolio. Those team efforts can end up being profound portfolio pieces that you wouldn't have been able to make by yourself. So why not take a shot and collaborate with others who are looking to do the same? And that doesn't mean just collaborate for your portfolio. Scratch other people's back. Make stuff for their portfolio too. And honestly, before you know it, you might be getting hired by that friend on the set that's paid. Number 5, learn how to edit and don't toil over which software to use. If you care a lot about this topic, go ahead, test out every single one, figure out which one works best for you. There's no problem in that. It might take a really long time though. Out of all the industry friends I have, 99% of them use one of 3 softwares: Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, and DaVinci Resolve. In no particular order. I'm not trying to start no beef. Any one of those would be more than enough for your needs at this stage. I personally use Premiere Pro. I'm frustrated by it at times, but honestly, it's pretty great. It's getting better. I don't need to roast it as much anymore. But if you're really, really interested in color grading, DaVinci Resolve is going to be the place you want to go. Again, make things over and over and over and become fluid in the language of your editing software. Now, whichever one you choose, knowing and navigating this software is going to lead to so much efficiency down the line as you become a more proficient editor, you take on more clients, and honestly will give you more headroom to be more creative so you don't have to think about all those functional pieces. Practice, practice, practice. Get out and shoot. Heck, every time you shoot, make 5 different styles of edits from that one outing. Could be 2.39 by 1 crop, could be 4 by 3 crop, could be vertical for social, could be a Super 8 emulation, or you could just make it all black and white. There's 5 little examples of how to do it differently. Number 6, make a website and share your stuff publicly. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all incredible places to market yourself. It's free. Do that. Definitely do that. But make a website to showcase all the work you've made and portfolio pieces to try to land the clients you want. Constantly add to that body of work and update it so you can prove to potential clients what you're capable of. Give them a reason to hire you, actually pay you money for your work. There's beautiful Squarespace and WordPress templates all over the place. Find one that you like, make it simple. Simple is best. Get a CRM service. CRM stands for Client Relationship Manager, and you want to use this to send contracts, invoices, a clear place for people to communicate with you, and it gives your clients the ability to pay online. You can also follow up with leads there, and a lot of these places show you the percentage of people who end up booking versus the ones who don't and ghost you, and then you can also do automated emails through there. There's tons of options. I use Honeybook, but other ones include Dubsado, Tave, Studio Ninja, and many more. You can do your research and figure out which one might work best for you. Finally, find a clean way to deliver videos to clients. Nobody wants a Google Drive or Dropbox folder to be their experience of delivery of a product. So check out Vimeo, Frame.io, or VidFlow. Those are 3 really good options. And out of any of these recommendations, if you are more experienced in the industry and have recommendations, leave them in the comments down below. My final piece of advice, and not the standard one, is lean into what makes you different. This has been the thing I've championed across my channel for the past 5 years, and really is, I think, one of the biggest attributors to my success as well. Too many people are carbon copies of each other in this field, and always copying things that other people do. You have to find ways to find your own creative voice. That doesn't mean that you don't take inspiration from other people that you really love and the work that you really love, but you should be evaluating the things that you like in not just filmmaking, but other disciplines, other art forms, sports. I like running. I get inspiration from running YouTube channels, random places, books, movies, TV. You don't need to conform to the same gear as everybody else or the standard traditional filmmaking techniques. You know, the basics that I taught you here. Maybe once you know those things, break those rules and do something completely different than what is standard practice, because it's going to make you stand out and be different. Shock and confuse people. say something without literally having to say something. Stretch yourself into new genres and feelings and emotions, things that you haven't tried before, because you won't know the depths of your artistic voice until you try those new things. And do all the practical things I talked about in this video, but really engage your mind in thinking about the creative process of business, not just the creativity and the filmmaking that you do. Oh my gosh. Hello?
Babe, you have to come home right now. My mouth got really hurt. I had to call everyone. Please, come home. Come home. Just get here, please.
Oh, sleep tight. Sleep tight. You can always stay here tonight. Lock the door, turn out the light. And when the nightmares come easily, oh, don't be scared. Soon you'll see. Don't be scared. It's only me.